Hello, everybody.
Shoot this thing live.
Hello, hello.
And there we go. So Facebook tells us we are live, and indeed we are. Wednesday, yet again. What a wonderful routine this is developing into. So it's Wednesday again. It's Wednesday evening, probably Wednesday morning or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. It's light 'em up time yet again, and tonight we have a truly epic session, no pun intended. And Dean, I'm pretty sure you've heard that bad joke so many times in your life already that you must be totally sick of it. But we have Dean Parsons from Epic Cigar live here tonight or this afternoon with us. Dean, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much, Reinhard. Great to be here. I'm in Miami and just got back late last night from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was also in Baltimore this week. So the first sort of time I've been on the road since things really shut down back in March. So great feeling to be on the road and to be moving forward. Carefully and cautiously, of course, but I'm sure worldwide we're all dealing with the same things, and we're all in this together. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. It's going to be a challenge, and we hope to push forward in a positive manner.
Absolutely. And we certainly try to keep things positive over here. And I'm just grateful and glad that we've built such a wonderful community and the family within the cigar family over the last couple of months with, as we always say, like more than 250,000 people that were watching all the Light 'em Up sessions recently. And I know that a lot of people are tuning in tonight to hear you, Dean, and hear your story and how you got into the business, how Epic came about. And before we get into all of that, I just wanted to let you know, if you're watching over on Facebook and if you're new to the show, please put all your questions, your comments and thoughts underneath the live video, because I'm constantly checking and I would love to make sure that all your questions are being heard. So I will forward them here to Dean at the lounge so we can discuss all the questions that you have regarding Epic and Dean Parsons. So, Dean, give us a little bit of the long-winded story how you actually got into cigars. I mean, a hockey player out of Canada, a police officer in law enforcement, then real estate, living the island dream. I don't even know where to start. So I'll hand it over to you, and you give us the brief rundown of Dean Parsons' way into the cigar industry.
Wow. Well, I can discuss that, which is great, but then I want to discuss as well at some point, how we made the transition, from starting to grow in the U.S. and then obviously, growing in Germany with our great friends, Klein Lago family. So it's been a crazy road, but it's funny. Thomas, who is heads up the sales for Klein Lago, he says, Dean, he says a lot of companies have customers, and in Germany, he said Epic has fans. He said in Germany, so it's it's funny. I don't see it the way he does, but I trust his judgment, and we've been blessed with a lot of support, from around the world, but mostly more particularly in Germany. So. But yeah, so
I just know, Dean, that the Klein Lago family is doing such a wonderful job in Germany in general with quite a few brands, but I'm sure with Epic in particular as well. And for all the Klein Lago family, when they're listening or tuning in, it's always a pleasure to have them and keep up the great work.
Yeah, we're certainly blessed, and no one else we'd rather work with. So, born and raised, I'll go way back. I'm born and raised on the east coast of Canada, where I grew up playing hockey. I was born and raised in Labrador, Canada, which is a mining town, small town, 2,500 people. Left Newfoundland, Labrador when I was 16 to go play hockey in Quebec. Had an opportunity there, and then moved on to the University of New Brunswick in Fredericton, New Brunswick, and attended there. I did kinesiology in university, and then after university went to the police academy, which was located on the east coast of Canada as well, in Summerside, Prince Edward Island. I policed for 10 years in many facets of law enforcement, from uniform patrol to traffic, to major crime investigations, and was on our SWAT team for several years. And also the last 4 years, I was drug enforcement. So I had a great experience in law enforcement. And that's probably when I started to smoke cigars, sort of towards the tail end of working law enforcement with different colleagues at different times. But I wasn't really, I wouldn't call myself a cigar connoisseur at that time. And in 2003, I vacationed to the Turks and Caicos Islands to visit a good friend. I went back again in 2004 and had the opportunity to move there permanently in 2005 to work with a real estate development group. And my first opportunity with cigars, where you couldn't purchase a lot of cigars in the Turks and Caicos back in those days. And we had a lot of clients and customers coming in to view properties and golf and take them on tours of the island. And a lot of customers were asking for premium cigars. So in 2006, I started to travel to the Dominican Republic, 2005-06, and just purchased cigars for our customers. You know, a lot of the different Dominican cigars, from Davidoff to LFD to Fuentes, and we had a small humidor in our office. And after several trips of doing that, I had the opportunity to meet a gentleman one night at the bar who had a small boutique factory close to where our factory is now, in the free zone in Pisano, which is located in Santiago in the Dominican. And we struck up a sort of an instant friendship, and I developed a cigar for the Turks and Caicos Islands called the Turks Select. And this was basically to replace the cigars I'd been buying and bringing to the Dominican, or sorry, to the Turks and Caicos. Yeah, I said, you know, here's an opportunity. So I created a blend with a gentleman named Eddie Fontana, and that blend at the time had a Sumatra wrapper, Dominican binders, fillers, very light cigar. If I rolled the clocks back, I certainly wouldn't be something I'd blend now, but at the time it was a hit, and we branded it for the Turks and Caicos Islands. It was called the Turks Select 1841, and we had it in all the hotels and restaurants. But it was my full-time job at that time. I was in operations, but also shortly after moved into real estate sales. So it was just more of a hobby. But through that hobby, over a short period of time, I learned a lot about the industry and business, and had some ups and downs, and was paying way too much to have a cigar made for me back then. And learned later that, the proper process. And so we opened a hotel in 2008 in Turks and Caicos, and we started a second project. Unfortunately, the U.S. market was in decline at that time, and I was hired by a developer from Fort Lauderdale to move to the Dominican Republic in January of 2009, and still kept shipping cigars to Turks and Caicos, but really wasn't working out. I needed really to have someone on the ground there, and didn't at that time. So I switched my focus. Even though I was with another real estate group, I was now living in the Dominican in 2009, and started to I felt the desire to come up with a brand that I could market internationally, and a concept, and obviously new cigars. And that was over time. Epic, the name became available. Literally, I was sitting on the beach Googling names and drinking cocktails. And a friend of mine has a company called Epic Kiteboarding in the U.S. That name bounced through my head a couple times, and I said, I wonder if anyone owns EpicCigars.com, and Googled it. It was available, bought it on my mobile, and that was sort of the start. And then, started working on cigars later, but took some other steps. And to any entrepreneurs that are out there, the other step that I took at that time was trademarking the name. And as soon as we had cigars in the U.S. and in the market, this was an important step, because we've had challenges over the years where people have used the name, and we've managed to navigate that in the right ways. We've allowed some groups to use our name, but that's due to agreements that we've signed and compensation and things. So we're in a great place. But the step to trademark the name in the U.S. and then of course internationally was a big step, and we're certainly fortunate and continue to grow. We started with the original Maduro and Corojo blend, were the original blends in Epic, which date back to 2009-10, and those blends sort of migrated, changed over time. We tweaked them a little bit up until about 2012. And then 2015, we launched the Epic Habano. And then 2017, we launched the La Rubia, the Epic Project E, and the Maduro Fuerte, which is a full-bodied version of our Maduro core line cigar that comes in a 10-count box. And this year we're celebrating a new cigar with AJ Fernandez. It's called the Epic 10, which is celebrating 10 years of Epic in the industry. And that cigar is going to be shipping in the next 2 weeks from Nicaragua to the US, to Germany, and to the UK. So we're very excited about that.
Well, Dean, first of all, congratulations on that epic ride that you had with the brand. And I mean, 10 years in the industry is certainly a milestone. And even though you, in comparison, probably still one of the younger brands, I mean, the industry, if you go in there, it's all in, and it's one hell of a ride, I can imagine. But if we just go back a step further, even to some of your previous endeavors and the things that you were passionate about before you entered the cigar industry, I'm curious because from my humble opinion, if you want to go into professional sports, or if you're in law enforcement, and you mentioned even some history with the SWAT team, I mean, these are high pressure environments, right? And I was curious as to how those experiences changed you as a person and also formed you into the businessman that you are today.
Wow. It's certainly, I appreciate it. It's a, I think in life we're constantly growing and learning, and the tools, I learned from my father growing up and playing sports and never missing a practice. And he was there sharpening skates or working the time clock as a young man when I was playing hockey. I mean, from the time I could skate, I don't think he ever missed a practice or a game. And, and working at something where I was competing at a high level and had some opportunities in semi-professional hockey for a short time, and in college as well. So certainly discipline and that, never give up attitude, I think, is something that translates into business, because Epic has had its challenges over the years, and 10 steps forward, 15 steps backwards. And I think anyone that's out there in the entrepreneurial world can relate. And the cigar business, is, as much as we love it, and the camaraderie and all the pleasure we get out of smoking cigars, behind the scenes, there's a lot of work and a lot of struggle, and you need a lot of key resources. Through policing and over the years, a lot of great courses on life skills, interviewing and interrogation, just communication skills. You learn how to work and deal with people and negotiate placement in humidors, and everything has a way of translating and keeping you focused on your goals and dreams and pushing forward, even when you can't sort of see the end or see how you're going to accomplish something. You manage to keep going and to deal with situations as they come, because it's every day, and it's 10 years later, it's still a work in progress, and we're still defining what Epic is, because it's such a broad word and definition and used in language around the world. Blessed, it certainly defines everything I've lived in my life, but also what we're in the process of building, and sharing. You see our hashtag, sharing epic moments, epic lifestyle, live epic, smoke epic, and that's really, that can apply to anything and everything in the industry.
So is that sort of the logical progression of your personal story, going through all these various steps, and of course also the geographical moves? I mean, coming from Canada, and then after law enforcement, going to the island lifestyle, the more sort of paradise way of living, sitting on the beaches, and as you said, drinking some nice pina coladas whilst dreaming up the vision of Epic. Was that sort of a logical transformation for you, or did you always have that clear vision that this is where you're going to end up at some point in your life?
I didn't really know. After policing sorry about the noise. After policing for probably 5 or 6 years, there was a time when I had a feeling that it wasn't something I was going to do for 25 years, like many people do. And I certainly commend, I've got a lot of friends still in the business and officers that have sacrificed everything over the years. But I always felt like there was something else out there for me. I didn't know at the time it was real estate, and I certainly didn't know it was going to be the cigar industry. I just knew there was something, and always sort of kept that in the back of my mind. And as the opportunities arose, I took advantage and made some tough decisions at different times to leave Canada, and then to take different jobs over the years, and a big decision at the end of 2018, which I didn't mention, but it's critical in where we are with Epic today, is the Epic being acquired by Zander-Greg and Nat Seco brands in the U.S. Arthur Barbarian, who's now taken over the stresses that I've been dealing with for years, and having this new opportunity to really grow the business to a new level internationally is a big move for us, and big opportunity.
How did that whole deal come about, or do you want to go into that a little more and
Sure.
tell us about
Sure.
the current setup of the company?
Yeah, of course. So Arthur and I met. Arthur owns Zander-Greg, which is a big tobacco distributor. They're based in Pasadena, California. He also acquired the Nat Seco, which stands for National Cigar Co. It's a brand that dates back 55 years to 1965. We had met 5, probably 6 years ago now in the Dominican through some common contacts and factories and friends, and just started discussions, really not discussions about doing anything together, but just became friends over several years. And we would meet at the trade shows over the years, and I would update him on where things were with Epic, and the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the challenges. And we finally, at the end of 2018, really beginning of 2019, we sat down, and Zander-Greg, his company, acquired Epic, the controlling interest, basically control of the company, and now we're growing. We've increased our inventory tenfold, our production, our marketing, our sales efforts, right across the board. And it's exciting because you need that support, not just from a financial support, because I had investors over the years with Epic, but to have someone in the industry that really understands the business from distribution, sales, marketing, all the way through is essential. And it's a key partner and partnership in growing these brands. If you look at any brand that's grown big over the years, they've had that moment in time when that key partner comes in, whether it be from a distribution standpoint or a financial standpoint, that really helps a brand grow. So certainly blessed, and having someone in the business who understands the business is key, in that growth. So we're just really getting started. It's funny, we're celebrating 10 years, but we've accomplished more in the last year and a half than probably in the last 9+ years, because we're doing things a little bit differently, and we've got that inventory and product available to our customers and retailers, and we're just in a completely different place. So growing every day.
Great to hear. And we have a wonderful follow-up comment on that from Gabby Caffey, who's watching through the live stream, and I wanted to send my sincere regards to Gabby. Wonderful gentleman of the industry, dear friend and brother of the Leaf. He was also guest on the Light 'em Up show, and he just said that in his opinion, the secret to the industry is surrounding yourself with good people to eliminate all the obstacles and the negative components. And he sends his blessings and his regards, and I think he's absolutely right in surrounding yourself with the best people is quintessential. How was that experience for you? I mean, when you were living in Turks and Caicos, and then you started going to the Dominican Republic, going on all these factory tours, and then slowly developing the idea of starting your own either cigars, which just like your own little stogies to take back for your customers, but then later on your own brand. How did people react once you showed up there and introduced them to the idea of, here's Dean Parsons, I'm gonna do my own cigars?
Well, it's first of all, Gabby, thank you so much. I'm glad you're on here. We've got a lot of great friends in common. I haven't had the pleasure of spending any time with Gabby, but I certainly follow him very closely, and he's one of the people that's influencing our industry in such a positive way all the time. So thank you for your thoughts and good vibes. It's well received, certainly with everything that's going on in the world. Thank you, Gabby. You know what? The Dominican people are so incredible. To answer your question, that it's open arms. I've always felt that. I've always felt like Dominican Republic is my second home, and having lived there for 9 years, up until a year ago, it's just incredible, and people are willing to help. And of course, when you're going to make cigars, somebody's profiting, so they're happy to to work with you. But you go through a lot of learning curves, because the Turks and Caicos wasn't a typical island, and our cigars in Turks and Caicos retailed from $25 to $50, depending on the hotel and resort per cigar. So it was a different scenario than we deal with internationally and in the US. Our cigars are retail between $8 and $12, sometimes $14. So and when your manufacturer knows that you can sell a cigar for $25 to $50, you pay a different price, and you learn a lesson, and then you move on. So it was a great experience. And but when I moved permanently to the Dominican in 2009, you quickly understand the industry and how things work, and all the ups and downs, and when you're hands on. And we're blessed. Since that time, I've been working with Rolando VML, with Tabacalera von Eycken, which is obviously the same factory where Christoph produces all their great cigars. And we've got a great family.
It used to be named Charles Fairmorn. Just
correct. Yeah.
People to know, right?
Yeah. And so we've got a great family there, and we're producing, fantastic cigars, and blessed that we've got an awesome team and great facility. And that's our second home. And, everything I've learned in this industry, I've learned from Rolando and our team there, and it's been fantastic. So as I said, we're really just getting started, 10 years later.
How did you go about choosing the right factory to work with? I mean, I know through your personal encounter with Rolando that was sort of an obvious choice, but did you also have like a clear vision of what the factory and their operations should look like in order for you to consider them worthy as your partners?
Well, I mean, they had a proven track record, obviously, with Christoph Cigars at that time, and it was just, I went with a gut feeling, to be honest. And I've had the chance over the years to spend time in a lot of the factories in the Dominican, and ours is as good, and certainly second to none there. If you want to talk about quality personnel, staff, the product that's available to us, the tobacco suppliers that we're using, it's we're blessed, and we've got a great team, and I've never felt the need to look anywhere else, and to go into a factory and basically have access to everything, and spend the time with Rolando, creating these blends with Epic, and then having the opportunity to share them with other mentors and other tobacco people in the industry, and get their feedback, and really, so our products, a lot of my cigars are a product of many people that I've learned from and trusted in the industry, not just Rolando. We always created the initial blends together, and then I would get feedback and smoke with a lot of great people, and that's what's developed the brand to where it is today. And it's just a great place to be. There are so many amazing factories and great people to deal with in the Dominican. So we're in a great place, and moving forward every day with Rolando and our team there.
And I know one of those people that were quintessential on the growth and helping you bouncing off ideas is Jose Blanco. I was talking to Jose earlier today, and he was sending his regards as well, also watching through Facebook. What was that experience like for you to talk to an industry icon and a legend of the cigar family like Jose, and how did he help you in developing probably your palate and the blending side of things, but also some other ideas of the business in general?
Yeah, well, we and Jose, if he's watching, I hope you're great, and Emma as well, and Jasper. We haven't seen him in such a long time, but so I met Jose. I'm gonna go back probably in 2013 or 14. I was spending time in La Romana with Enrique and Ricardo Cejas and Ruben Gonzalez, the whole team that started, the Matilda brand of cigars as they were coming out with that product. I got the chance to smoke it a lot with them, and so as I was taking on a partner at that time, I really needed some advice, not just from a cigar standpoint, but from a marketing and sales standpoint, and from just developing how I was going to develop this company and add different lines and blends to Epic, because we had the Maduro and Corojo at that time, and I was getting ready for the first trade show, and so actually Jose invited me to his home. We worked on a fantastic sales and marketing plan for the company over a period of 4 or 5 weeks. Emma had a lot of great input on that, and Jose as well. I mean, to have access to someone like that to really steer you and guide you in a period of time where I was taking on investment and also trying to figure out the direction of the company. So it's been, you can't put a price on that. So it's really, and to have him, help me through the cigar production process, and not just, because we were making cigars with Rolando, but to have Jose, come in and smoke. For example, he smoked the Corojo at that time, which was a cigar that we had some great ratings with it. And we smoked it over, different periods of time at his home, or when we were spending time going through the marketing plans. And I tweaked the cigar after that because he felt there was something missing. And I won't get into the details of that, but it's a better cigar now than it was. And so that's just one example of getting great advice and, and growing from it and learning. And the Habano blend, which we've just done a great production with the group from Privada Cigar Club for their members. They released this month the Habano Lancero, but we blended that cigar. It comes in 5 sizes. The Corona Extra is a size that I really enjoy, because that's sort of the size we started blending with. And so we put that into the profile. It comes in a Rothschild, a 660, a Robusto, and we may come with some other sizes, but Jose really sort of took lead on that cigar in the direction of where we were headed with that blend. And it's been, one of the most sought after cigars that we make. But he's certainly, his fingerprint is all over that cigar, and we're thankful for that. Because you look at all the wonderful things he's done, obviously now with Fuente Cigars, and just a great mentor and great friend, and learned so much from him. I can't even probably forgot more than I can remember that over discussions over time and smoking, and just he's definitely influenced not just myself but many people in the industry. So we're thankful for that.
Andy is here at the lounge with us, and he had a question also in regards to surrounding yourself with the very best people. Andy, please fire away and raise your question.
Thank you, Reinhard. Andy from the UK. So we know that Epic have just made their way to the UK through Mike. It's awesome to see that we're managing to get some fairly priced cigars in the UK, obviously discussing our taxes. But yeah, the question around good people was, you mentioned that obviously starting in the Dominican Republic and surrounding yourself by people, but your 10-year cigars made by AJ Fernandez. So my question is, if you're going to go into Nicaragua with all those amazing factories, why pick AJ over everybody else?
You know what? That's actually, it's a good question. Obviously, AJ is very well known. Epic is as well known as I feel it is, and hope it continues to be. We're still, a brand that a lot of people aren't necessarily aware of when you look at the entire U.S. market. I mean, I still connect with shops on a daily basis and walk into shops and they haven't heard of Epic, as many retailers as we have. So to partner with AJ was obviously strategically from a marketing standpoint, but he's got access to some of the best tobaccos in Nicaragua. You'll see when you see our packaging with the new Epic 10, it has AJ's logo obviously on the box. But more than that, we started working on that blend back in October of last year, and had several trips planned to Nicaragua. But because of COVID, we didn't end up having the opportunity to do that. But we started out with 4 different blends and narrowed it down to the blend we went with. The cigar that we produced is a 54x6 box press. It has a Cameroon wrapper, Nicaraguan binders and fillers, medium to full bodied. So I'm excited about the product, and just from AJ, it was more strategic, a marketing standpoint, but also he's someone that I very much respect in the industry, certainly in Nicaragua. And Arthur had a long-standing relationship with AJ Fernandez and done cigars in the past. So it was a natural sort of starting point for us. It's not to say that we're not going to work with other people in Nicaragua, because I think we certainly are, and looking forward to that. And we've got a few ideas and a few things in our back pocket. And as Nicaragua slowly opens up, you'll start to see some different things. But once again, we're continuing our relationship in the Dominican as well. We've got a new cigar that'll be coming from the Charles Fairmorn or the Van Eycken factory early next year as well. I won't get into details because we want to keep that a surprise for our customers. But so we'll continue moving forward there, and obviously our Nat Seco brands, which I represent as well now, not just in the U.S. but internationally. They're produced in the Omar Ortiz factory in Nicaragua, and we've got 5 premiums with Nat Seco and many other cigars as well. So we've got a pretty big portfolio of things, and but we're slowly making a dent in the industry. So
thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciate it.
Andy, it's always great to see you on the show, and thanks for tuning in. And I also wanted to send a big shout out and many greetings to Mike Joy over in the UK, who's a tremendous gentleman and dear friend. And just keep rolling and rocking.
We will. Mike and I met. I'll mention this quickly because we're certainly excited to be working with Mike and Boutique Smokes. We met at Dortmund last year, and had great conversation, took some photos, and Mike learned a little bit about me. But more than anything, I don't think he smoked much with me at the event, but took cigars away with him and really sort of fell in love with the 3 cigars that he currently is bringing into the UK, which is the Epic Project E, our San Andreas blend, and the Epic Corojo Lancero, and the Epic Maduro Gordo. So and the response we've gotten from the UK, I mean, I handle all of our social media, from our Instagram pages to Facebook, and it continues to blow up every day. The love and support we get from those groups, on top of, what we're getting, on a daily basis here in the US and Germany as well. So it's, I've got my hands full, but it's a good feeling. So.
Dean, Papa Tonis was asking over on Facebook, when it comes to the product, what is for you the most challenging aspect, and how is that compared to some other brands or other business endeavors that you were in? How do you go about those most challenging aspects?
You said of the product, or?
Yes, he was asking about the product first,
okay.
Then also about probably some obstacles in comparison to other industries.
Well, I think it's one of the challenges. Something that's unique with Epic that a lot of people aren't necessarily familiar with is that we do use Nicaraguan tobacco in all the existing blends that come out of the Dominican Republic. We use Nicaraguan Viso and as part of our fillers in all those cigars. So you've always got that little bit of Nicaragua in there, and that's something that it's just a flavor that I've kind of wanted. That's sort of finished those blends out in a lot of ways. And we also use the Cameroon in our Maduro and Habano as a binder. Just something that I liked and that we kind of went with. And you sometimes you don't realize it until you get there, because a lot of times as you're creating new blends, you'll switch out the binders and push forward. And for example, in the Epic La Rubia, our Connecticut blend, we have the San Andreas binder, and that was sort of the finisher of that cigar, because it gave it a lot of sweetness and just a completely different flavor. It's not a typical Connecticut that I'm used to smoking, and so once we captured that sort of that binder in combination with our fillers and obviously the wrapper, it just worked. And that's sort of the challenge, it's not knowing, and that's why it can take 6 months or a year to come up with a blend, and as it dries and changes and over the weeks and months, because what you start with day one is certainly not what you end up with week 6 or week 12 or week 30. So those are the challenges, as far as, blending cigars. And then also, it's funny, my first Vegas show, and I talk about this a lot when I meet people, but I had a chance to meet Pete Johnson from Tatuaje. And something he said to me at that time has always sort of stuck with me. And he said, Dean, when you're making cigars, when you work on these blends with whoever you're working on them with, it's like, always decide what you like. So don't worry about what you think people are going to like. Just go with what you like and push forward. And I've always done that. All the existing blends we have in Epic were sort of decisions that were either influenced by someone, but at the same time, I agreed with the direction I was sort of being taken and what I was experiencing on my palate. That may not be what someone else is experiencing. And there's so many factors to what people experience when they're smoking, and what you've eaten, what you're drinking, how much sleep you've had. So there's things right across the board, and I love getting those opportunities to reintroduce someone to Epic, or introduce them to the first time and take someone from that only smokes Connecticut to smoke the Epic Maduro, because it's not a strong cigar given the right circumstances and the group you're in, or what you're eating, drinking, and smoking. So there's a lot of challenges, but those are some of them.
And Dean, I love the fact that you mentioned that little aspect Pete Johnson made you aware of, and I'm curious, because so many industries, trends come and go, and a lot of people try to play to those trends or stay ahead of the curve and try to make their products suitable for a certain market or for an evolution that they see in the near future. But what you were saying, sort of the antithesis to that you got to have a clear vision and sort of your own aromatic profile and the taste profile, and as long as you stay true to that, people will follow, right?
Yeah, and I think that's it's important. I think that people know that because over the years, people see them every day. If you have enough money, you can fly to the Dominican or Nicaragua, and you can have somebody make you a cigar and put a band on it. That's certainly not the case with Epic. Having lived there for 9 years, my fingerprint is all over all those cigars, and even the AJ cigar. We really, Arthur and I sat and smoked that over a period of time, the different blends, and really, found that one that fit for not just the profile for what we were trying to do, but with Epic, and it fits into our portfolio of cigars and anything else we have coming. So it's just important. I continue, on a daily basis to smoke cigars from different manufacturers and producers right across the board, because I need to learn more about tobacco and things we might use in the future. And when somebody, if I'm at an event and somebody pulls out a Christoph signature series, I can say, well, if you enjoy that, you may like, the Epic XYZ, and vice versa. It's just to obviously, continue to grow my knowledge and learn more about the industry. And that's, you always have to keep, pushing forward.
How did you actually develop your palate? And earlier you mentioned that you'd probably reblend the very first cigar that you did at the beginning, because your taste profile might have changed over the years.
Yeah, well, your palate is it's developing all the time. You know, I had a chance last summer. I was in Texas, and I spent a couple days with Noel Rojas, who a lot of people know, and we worked on a few different cigars, and you know, he's got incredible knowledge and such a charismatic guy. And to sit with him, you know, for a couple hours, a couple days in a row, and smoke a lot of these Nicaraguan tobaccos, just the pure tobaccos that I hadn't smoked before, was an experience. Even in Germany last year at the trade show, I had a chance for the first time to meet James Brown and Angela from Black Label, and you know, everything he makes is completely different from what I make with Epic. And I had a chance to smoke through all their products and you know, spend time with James and Angela and learn about why they do things the way they're doing them, and it's super unique, and that's what makes this industry so great. And you know, people are willing to share that knowledge and great ideas. And there's so many great cigars out there that you have to keep smoking and learning the different things and the nuances. So, and my palate is still developing over time. I mean, I go through weeks where I'll smoke just the Habano in different sizes over maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and I won't smoke anything else. And then I'll go back to the Maduro and do the same thing, and Corojo and vice versa. And you know, it's changed. My palate has grown, but then I'll go for a week and smoke just our Connecticut, you know, our La Rubia blends, and to give yourself a little bit of a break. And then obviously, you know, through that same time period, I'm smoking, you know, different cigars all the time. When I'm visiting retailers, I ask them to grab whatever their favorite cigar is or what's new, and share it with me. So
the Epic Connecticut is a more, I wouldn't say robust, but more of a complex Connecticut style. Do you think that is becoming a thing, that more and more people are looking into making a Connecticut shade wrapped cigar, but with more depth, with more complexity in the overall blend?
Absolutely, because you need, you know, Connecticut came later for Epic, but it's something you need in your portfolio, just from the standpoint that Connecticut's outsell every other wrapper, you know, close to 2 to 1. So you look at companies like Davidoff and Ashton, and you know, they've got a lot of Connecticut offerings. But and that's why we, you know, obviously we're using Dominican and Nicaraguan fillers in the La Rubia, also the San Andreas in the binder, and that really gives you it's just a different taste and flavor. A lot of Connecticut, you get that sort of earthy, grassy sort of taste, and I wanted to get away from that. And the biggest factor to doing that was using the Mexican San Andreas in the binder. It really changed that cigar completely to something that I can smoke Maduros and Corojos all day, and then at the end of the evening have smoked the Epic La Rubia, and I still get a lot of flavor and a great experience, you know, as sort of that winding down cigar at the end of the day. So I think I've certainly felt like we accomplished the goal with that blend to create something different, and other companies are doing it for sure.
Do you also see a lot of differences and nuances when it comes to the aromatic profiles and taste preferences from people in the United States in comparison to the other markets where you have strong presence over here in Europe?
No, I think they're similar. I think what I've seen, certainly in Germany and in Canada over the last, you know, I've been in both countries since 2015, in Germany with Klein Lago, and in Canada with the Alec Bradley Canada guys, Justin and Joe Bondi. And what we're seeing in both those markets, and I think anyone that's in those markets as well is seeing, is you're seeing a decline of Cuban cigars and an increase of Dominican and Nicaraguan cigars, purely because it's giving people a different experience. The smokers are becoming more educated and trying things differently. And it's not to knock Cuban cigars. You know, there are some great Cuban cigars out there. I've got friends here in Miami that bring cigars all the way from Cuba, and I get to smoke them often. And it's a different experience, none different than, you know, wine or bourbons and whiskeys from different regions. And so it's just, people are more open now, I think, than ever to what's happening in the Dominican and Nicaragua and the great cigars that are coming out of there, and open to expanding their palates and trying something different.
And I think we can all agree that, in particular here in Europe, people's palates are definitely shifting from some of the more traditional and well-learned taste profiles and the brands that they've been smoking over the last decades to new and exciting boutique brands and other origins when it comes to cigars. So that certainly is interesting. But do you also think that more and more manufacturers and boutique brands from the United States will take a closer look at the European market, especially since the FDA keeps nagging boutique manufacturers? There's a lot of uncertainty about what's going to happen to the American market, and there's obviously a lot of new ground to be covered over in Europe and the Middle East and even Southeast Asia.
Yeah, well, I think it's just good business to can always be expanding, markets and opportunities. And when I see the support, from Germany over all these years, and on top of that, more recently from the UK, it's incredible. And people are still, listen, the average cigar smoker is still smoking a more of a mild to medium cigar, which is typically Cuban, but all these companies, including Epic, are creating that offering. With the Epic Habano, the Epic La Rubia. Even my Maduro is more medium, depending on your palate. The Corojo is a little bit fuller, the Maduro Forte. So I think it's you're foolish not to continue to focus on new markets and opportunities to take your brand or your company internationally. The support is there for sure.
Coming back to the Zander-Greg acquisition and the change within the company, do you feel like, just from an operational standpoint, a lot of things have changed, or is it clearly just following the Epic path with a bit of a different setup in the back?
Well, we've got a great big warehouse now and full of product, and we've got more product in production and aging in the Dominican than we've ever had. Nothing has really changed at all. Nothing. Obviously, we're marketing more now. We've got marketing budgets in place that I never had with Epic, which is going to help our retailers and our distributors internationally and obviously in the U.S. as well. But nothing's changed, and now I can do what I love to do, which is this, and get face to face with our retailers, distributors, and customers. And I mean, to me, that's the why I got into this business, was the camaraderie and the FaceTime that you get to spend with people, and to not have the stress of worrying about the distribution side or the financial side of the business. It's when you walk into a shop, or when I walk into a shop now, and it doesn't matter if I sell a cigar, that's a good feeling. I can just walk into a shop and work on letting people get to know the brand and get to know me and the story, and the cigar sales will come over time. So to take, to not be stressed about that, because for 9 years, Epic was, there were weeks and months and years where I had to get those sales, or we weren't moving forward, and it's not a good feeling. And I think most people that have been in this industry for any period of time have probably gone through it at one time or another. And you start out making 10, 20, or 50,000 cigars, and then a year or two later, you're making 100 or 200,000 cigars, and then you got to figure out how you're going to make 500,000 cigars, and it doesn't come without big resources and support. To have that weight off my shoulders, and to be able to move forward and just build Epic with the right people, with relationships, and it's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling.
A liberating feeling.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it is for sure.
Have you ever felt that? I would assume that we sometimes steer towards the boutique brands or the crafted things, like be it in the beer industry or the wine and spirits industry. We're always interested in the new and the upcoming and sort of the boutique market. Do you think that people sometimes are a bit reluctant to look into the bigger corporations, or are a little afraid that things might change once one of the bigger players gets involved? Is that an issue?
Of course. And I mean, that was even, a concern when I first sat down with Arthur and we started having discussions about, how we're going to move forward. And during one of those conversations, because it was a scenario where he's already got his brand, he's got a distribution network, he's got his team, successful brands doing well in the industry and the market. And so I know at one point during our discussions, I said, why Epic? There's lots of other brands that, my size, bigger or smaller, that probably need support. And he said point blank, he said, Dean, because I believe in you. And that was sort of the turning point for me and for us. And he's really delivered on everything we've sort of planned from inception and growing every day. We've got so many great things coming that you'll start to see in the weeks and months ahead. But there's also that leap of faith. You have to make that leap of faith and hope that it's going to work out. And it has been. And but Epic is I'm still, as far as the branding and how Epic is perceived and how we move forward, I'm 100% with my hands, on every part of it, with Arthur and with Arthur's wife, Alexandra, and our team. And we've got a fantastic group. So it's great to have that support. And as I said, be able to focus on the sales and, our customers and distributors.
I've heard you spoke very highly about Nat Seco on previous interviews, and you mentioned it before. How does that sort of come into the equation, and what does Nat Seco as a brand mean to you? Because you're also representing it, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's a lot of history there, which National Cigar Co., which a lot of people mess up the name and they say Nat Chicho or different things. And so, I kind of have to take them back and explain where Nat Seco comes from, which is National Cigar Co., as I said earlier, which dates back to 1965. Some fantastic cigars. Obviously, the Nat Seco 1965 had the number 18 rating 2 years ago in the top 25 with Cigar Aficionado. It's one of our fastest moving cigars. Beautiful presentation, made by Omar Ortiz in Nicaragua. We've got a Nat Seco HHB, which is another Habano cigar rated 90. The Nat Seco Classic, which is a Connecticut. The Elephant Ears, the Casino Royale. So there's so many great cigars as part of that brand. And then we have the budget Nat Seco, which is the Nat Seco Rejects, Cuban Rounds. There's a big portfolio. So when Arthur acquired that company years ago, I think he was onto something, and it's grown and will continue to grow. So basically, I'm obviously the ambassador for that brand as well. And it's nice to have that Nicaraguan offering for our existing Epic customers, and vice versa for the Nat Seco customers to have Epic as an option for their humidors and for their customers. So I'm seeing, a lot of growth in both brands, and people are making that connection with Epic and Nat Seco, and that's been, positive in a lot of ways for us as well.
Which is also sort of an interesting balancing thing when you have a very traditional, history-laden brand like Nat Seco, and then a more up-and-coming, new to the market brand like Epic, even though it's been 10 years.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting, but it's working. It really is. And depending on the store, some of our retailers sell more Epic, some sell more Nat Seco, but we embrace that. And obviously, the industry is a lot about real estate and shelf space in humidors and navigating your way through that over time and giving your customers a lot of options, and we're able to do that now. So it's great. It's a great opportunity because not every cigar is a fit for every retailer, and so it gives me a lot of tools to learn and grow. Continue to grow my knowledge on how to approach different retailers, because they're not looking for the same thing every time. So.
Since you gave me the perfect segue back to the real estate thing, with your experience there, what were some of the key learnings from your time in real estate that you could then translate into the cigar industry?
Well, it was interesting in real estate, certainly in Turks and Caicos and the Dominican. It's second, third home, real estate for a lot of the people that are investing from, around the world. And the majority of clients that I dealt with over my 5 years in Turks and Caicos and 9 years in the Dominican, although, I stepped away from the real estate back in 2012, but I still stay connected to friends in the industry. It's when you have that kind of money to spend, you spend it on people that you trust and people that you believe in and people that make you feel good and safe. Certainly in real estate, that was always the case. People bought from you. When they came in to sit down, they probably looked at 4 or 5 other properties within the same price point or even a higher price point a lot of times. And a lot of times the final decision came down to having that trust, with that real estate agent, myself at the time and many others. And I think cigars is it's disposable income that you have to spend, and you're going to support brands that you feel good about and people that you believe in, or maybe a story that you may be interested in. And I think that's important, but it's certainly relationship driven. I smoke stuff from people I like all the time. Matt Booth is a good friend of mine. I've been following Matt for years. He's sort of a mentor as well in this industry. Obviously I'm good friends with Jose Cejas and Ricardo and Enrique, the whole family. I smoke their stuff. I've had the chance over the years to spend time with Carlito Fuente. I mean, and just guys in the industry that I like. I tend to smoke their products more than people that I don't necessarily know overly well in the industry. So I think it's important that people see what's behind these brands and get to know some of these manufacturers and blenders, because there's still a lot of people that I haven't had a chance to really get to know, and cigars that I haven't smoked. So, I'm looking forward to that, but I really think cigars is very personal, certainly personal to me. And I support people that I like and that I like, even if I don't know them. I support people that I like what they're doing, whether that be through social media or, Zoom calls or Facebook and posts and energy that people put out. That's what I think is important, certainly for me.
Andy, you had another question.
Yeah, so it was going back to the kind of change in palates and the change in moving away from Cubans, I suppose, or in the European and obviously changing in palates in the US market. I kind of wanted your thoughts on where do you think those changes are coming from? Do you feel that it's the evolution of actual cigar smokers? It's younger people coming into the industry. I'm a 27-year-old guy that's been smoking cigars for 5 years. So, and from a UK standpoint, I started on Cubans and I probably smoke 95% New World now. So do you feel it's kind of that side of things? So it's the evolution of the actual cigar smoker, or is it an evolution of taste and palates in general? So the world is being opened up to more craft beer, more craft whiskey, more craft gin, more different types of food. So do you kind of feel it's one way or the other, or could it be a bit of both?
I certainly think it's a lot of both. I mean, when I was in my early 20s, I was, playing sports and, never probably even thought about having cigars or having a cigar. And I think that's completely changed. I see more people in their 20s and 30s enjoying cigars, and not just enjoying cigars, but people like yourself that really have a strong knowledge of what's out there, and your palate is developed, and so you're looking for that next new thing or that next new cigar. So I think it's that, but also that because there are more cigars being produced and new companies coming up in Dominican and in Nicaragua, there's so many fantastic cigars. So it's, if I can find, I always say, if I get 1 or 2 guys in a store that like Epic, like the brand, that's all that it takes to carry, to keep your product moving on the shelf, because they'll tell 2 friends and so on and so forth. But it's a combination. The industry I think is very strong right now. And there are more young smokers, and not just young smokers, but once again, people like yourself that are going out of their way to learn more about cigars and different pairings. And it's the same. You're right, in the craft beer industry. I just did I've got a cool thing coming up with Fuse Spirits. They're based in Chicago. I just got product from them this week, and we're going to be doing some Instagram live and some pairings and tastings with their products. But they're a boutique spirits company, and they do whiskey, rye whiskey. They do gins, and so we've got some really cool stuff coming up with them. So I think it's a combination of both, and even your hardcore guys that have only smoked maybe Cubans for years are trying now different things and different options. But it's great. I think overall it's great for the entire industry, what's happening. And I agree. It's just I'm very much into the craft beers and the bourbons and whiskeys as well. And I'm always switching things up and trying to find those unique things that pair great with our products.
Yeah. Just a quick one. Epic Maduro and Angel's Envy port finished bourbon.
I haven't had the port finished, but is that a positive? You're saying it's good?
Yeah. Get it.
Perfect.
Get it.
All right, I'm on it. I will get it this week.
Just out of curiosity, who will you be partnering up with in Chicago? Is it Paul from Few or?
Yes, correct.
He's a wonderful dude.
Yeah. We just started speaking a few weeks ago, and I was on the road up until today, and I got a package from Paul, and we've sent him a package as well. He's got some pretty hardcore cigar smokers on his team, not Paul himself, but his team, and so we've got some fun stuff coming up we're going to be doing together, and I'm excited about that. He's got a pretty cool story, and what they're doing, I think, is a nice fit for what we've been doing with Epic. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Paul is a wonderful gentleman. I met him many years ago when I was living and working in London at the City of London distillery, and Paul was very good friends with our master distiller back then, Jamie Baxter, who came off Chase Distillery, and I've been following the evolution of Few over the years, and he's a great dude.
Yeah, I'm excited. I haven't even tried any of the products, but I've got to start that next week. I actually fly out tomorrow morning back to Baltimore. We're sponsoring the Cal Ripken Foundation golf event on Friday, and then I'm back to Miami on Saturday. But that's something that just recently in the last 6 months that we put together is an annual sponsorship with the Cal Ripken Foundation. And last week, I was in Baltimore as well. We did an event with Jonathan Ogden, who used to play with the Baltimore Ravens, Hall of Famer, and we had a fantastic golf event in support of his foundation as well. So, keeps me busy, but having a lot of fun as well.
Brian over in Los Angeles had a question for us. Welcome back, Brian. Brian, you're there?
I'm having a kind of seeing, but I'm hearing everything. So
there we go.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I think my device is okay. I love your journey, and I love the story. And earlier, what does the name mean? And making sure that people understand, what the company is about. When they want to, maybe purchase, and maybe this is a dumb idea, an acronym, because it's a shorter word. So I don't know, everyday pleasures in concert, or exceptional people cigars. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned that, because when I first started Epic, we had a slogan, you deserve a cigar worthy of your achievements. That's something we used to put on the original Habano boxes. And it's funny, I had a meeting once in New York with Cigar Aficionado with Barry Abrams, and I brought a box in with me, and we're having a conversation, and he said, "Dean," and I said, "What?" He said, "Your name is Epic." He said, "You don't need anything else on that box." And he was right. But to have an acronym, I think, is a great idea as well. And there are a lot of options, certainly, to to put something like that in place. So feel free to hit me up and send any ideas, because we're always open for certainly new ideas and different ways to have people connect with the brand and with the name Epic. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
And Brian, we're still waiting for that Koenig story of yours, just so you know.
Oh, I got it. Let's see. I've got here we go.
There's Heiko.
Dean,
Hello, my friend. I'm good.
Good to
I'm better
see you.
now. Good to see your smiling
Martina.
face. Good to see you healthy.
Yes.
Good, man. Awesome.
After 2 months now. Reini.
No kidding.
Hi.
Well, you
Hi,
look
Joe.
good.
What a
Danke.
pleasure. Welcome.
You look strong and healthy. Stay that way.
Laurent. All there.
Good. Say hi to your better half. Your better looking half.
Thank you. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Always great to see the family back together. Heiko,
Yeah.
welcome. And also big welcome and thanks for tuning in to Franca Comparetto from Cigar Sense. Hi, Franca.
Oh,
and you also had a
fantastic.
question. Please.
Hey
fire away.
everyone, nice to be here. Nice to be here.
Hello.
Conversation, Dean, you have a great story. And
Nice to see you.
Reinhard, yeah. Reinhard, congratulations for the trophy again. Very well deserved.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm on it.
And Heiko, it's also very nice to see you're feeling better.
Danke also.
Uh,
Too busy to join the Cigar Senses seminars. So always on the run.
okay. Pleasure, my pleasure. Music to my ears. We're talking about sensory here.
I just smoke cigars. I smoke
Yeah.
the good ones again, and the bad ones, forget it.
That's great. That's great. So
Never heard about Epic Cigars. I don't know what it is.
You're epic. I found the taste conversations very interesting here. So what you mentioned before about the development of the tastes. So we end up to somehow conform to other people's tastes because the blenders meet together, they exchange feedback on mutually on their blends, and so they conforming to the market. But in the end, the taste is personal, as Dean was also saying. Yeah, I have my own personal taste. I do the cigars I like, but I do watch what's going on. And in line with this question, in line with those comments, I wanted to ask you, Dean, social media are very instrumental today. And you talked about them every now and then today. How important is social media for you to gather feedback from your end customers, from consumers? How do you go about that?
That's a good question. Because social media, I think, Frank, a lot of times is just it's just people supporting brands and showing labels, which is, the cigar industry's changed over the years. So, and a lot of it isn't necessarily conducive of getting that feedback to, it's I like it or not. And for me, I've always, even in the past, I smoke a lot of different cigars, but I don't always post them. I don't often post other cigars, even if I do enjoy them. But if I really enjoy them, I will post them from time to time, or if it's a friend that I'm supporting. So I think there is a lack of actually direct feedback, even though, it's nice to get pictures and hashtags and all those things. But I think to answer your question, I think that's something that is missing. And I know for me, it's challenging enough reposting and thanking people for sharing our cigars to get the feedback be a whole nother level, to get any constructive feedback. Usually it's I liked it, I love it, I liked it. It was a little bit strong, it was light, but I think that's that component I think is missing. is missing in as part of social media. I think it's lacking, and I think what you're doing is has a lot to help us with that. So
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
so
Yeah.
thank you for that. Yeah, yeah. It's giving that smoker another tool that they wouldn't necessarily have, and I think you're on the way to perfecting that, right?
Yeah, you eliminate some biases indeed that it's hard to make abstraction of through social media. Like people want to be kind to you. Either they want to troll or they want to be kind, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah, and there's nothing worse, you know, I don't care what brand it is or what company, but there's nothing that bothers me more when I see negative comments about any brand, because we are all in this business together. I really things like that, if they come on my page, I'll just delete them, because we all have, you know, different factories, different companies. We're coming out with different cigars, and there's, you know, people are, you know, obviously open to their own opinions, and if they want to comment on a certain brand or something they may not like, but it's not helpful. You know, and when I say negative comments, you know, we try to. Yeah. I want less of that. I want to see less of that in the world. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Nice to see you. Thank you.
In one thing we could possibly see more of, and we've discussed this with Franca on the show as well, is educational content within the cigar industries and different opportunities to not just develop your palate, but truly learn more about cigars, about the tobacco, everything that's behind it. Do you think that we need some more of those educational platforms, and what could those possibly look like?
Well, I think they're super helpful. I mean, you know, one of the first people, and you know, we'll go back to him if he's still watching, you know, it's Jose Blanco, and in his tastings that he's done over all these years and his educational seminars. I think that's a big part that's missing, and I think and when you can do those live tastings, you know, and I know we've had great success with those in Germany and even in the US, when I have a shop that maybe doesn't have the availability or the space to bring me in, and I'll offer at different times to come in and do a tasting, bring all my products, and I say, let's put 10 of your best members in the room. Let me come in on my dime and present Epic and go around the room. And every time I've done that, it's been a positive experience, and I've ended up getting, you know, space in a humidor that had no space. So, and that's an example of educating, giving people something they've never had, and even just going through wrapper, filler, binder, different regions. You know, I've had people say, "Oh, I don't smoke Epic; it's Dominican," or you know, I want a Nicaraguan. Well, there's Nicaraguan tobacco in there, but if they don't know that, they don't know. So the more education, I think, the better, and I think that's what is certainly attracting a lot of the young smokers, and people are really, because it's not just smoking cigars, it's collecting cigars, it's learning about the blends, the different tobaccos from different regions, and the manufacturers and things as well. So it's great. I think the more you learn, the more you'll appreciate the business, certainly that we're in, and the challenges of the business. So
Laurent just put a comment in the chat box, and he said, "Imagine Costa Rica."
Yeah. Correct.
So he's absolutely right in that. Mm-hmm. And Dean, you've lived in so many different countries, and you've seen everything from freezing cold Canada to the Paradise Island lifestyle down in the Dominican. What does terroir mean to you when it comes to cigars?
Terroir.
So the expression of the origin and terroir as being a cumulative effect of the soil, the climate, the people, the culture, the history.
Sure, it's amazing. I mean, you look at, especially in the Dominican, but Nicaragua as well. I mean, it's Cuban seed that's migrated over years and centuries and time to the Dominican Republic, with different soil growing regions in different areas, even in the Dominican, and obviously Nicaragua, you know, the volcanic regions, and there's so much there's so many things that dictate what we're experiencing in smoking. And then on top of that, you have different companies that double and triple ferment tobaccos after they're received, and people that are experts in that side of the business as well. Once the tobacco is taken from the suppliers and the growers. So there's so many hands, goes back to the 200 or 300 or 500 hands from seed to cigar, but that's what's important. And then how I take what Rolando's done and then decide for my palate what's working for me, and vice versa to the Jose Cejas's of the world and the Carlito Fuentes. I mean, they're blending to their tastes, and those tastes are developing over time, over years. Tobacco is changing and growing. Some regions are getting overgrown, some are new and replenished, and so it's hard. One of the biggest challenges in this business is keeping the consistency in your cigars over a period of time and years. And you see companies like Fuente and companies like Padron that have perfected that. And I think we're on the same road to make sure we keep our products consistent and available, and the quality is important as well. So yeah, it's a very important aspect of what this business is about.
Speaking of all that, I mean, looking back at the 10 years of Epic Cigars, when you take a glimpse into the crystal ball and look ahead to the next 10 years of Epic, what are some of the evolutions that you see in the foreseeable future, and what are some of the evolutions you would like to foster for the brand?
Obviously, we want to give back, which I think is important for not just anyone in the cigar business, but anyone in business in general. Look at the things we're going through in our lives right now. But to give back, to get involved in more charity, to help educate, families, children, to educate countries, and I think that's the more we grow, the more I want to be able to do that, to give back and keep charity based as part of what we do as we grow the business, and also help some of these, whether it be smaller companies, whether it be spirits or different companies, they're looking for these great cigar partners, and they want to educate their customers on what's the great cigar to go with the Few whiskey, or what's the great cigar to go with the Zacapa rum, or vice versa. So those things are important. Obviously, new blends, and then growing. Maybe some of our blends we'll eliminate some sizes in some of our blends as we grow, bring on other sizes, other blends, new tobaccos, and obviously there are a lot of new tobaccos coming that are being grown and tested in Nicaragua and the Dominican that we're going to have the opportunity to work with over the years. So I think the industry is as strong as it's ever been, and growing even through what we've been through over the last 4 or 5 months, and we're going to continue to go through. So, but I think that also has a lot to do with obviously the people involved in Cigar Rights of America, the customers, the retailers, the brand owners, and collectively as a group, the focus on moving forward and providing great products for our customers, and valuing the feedback as well.
Amen to that. Dean, what a wonderful session, and what a pleasure to be chatting with you about your personal story and the evolution of Epic Cigars. Before we wrap things off, I would love to let you all know, for all of you watching, we'll be back next Wednesday, of course, with another Light 'em Up session. And next week, we will talk with Karen Berger from Don Kiki Cigars. So that's going to be a very interesting one. And I'm delighted to have another outstanding woman of the cigar industry as our special guest next week. So please tune in again next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central European, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard, for another Light 'em Up session. Dean, it's been an absolute pleasure. And as a final question, Going back full circle to your beginnings and your earlier business endeavors, I've read a great book from Chris Voss, who used to be a negotiator for the FBI, and he wrote a book about Never Split the Difference, which is all about negotiating and negotiating tactics. So I was curious, with your time in law enforcement and working at a SWAT team, taking all that inspiration to the cigar industry, do you sometimes think that manufacturing cigars and selling cigars is a bit of a negotiating process as well?
It is. It certainly is. And it's, as I said, now having that ability to walk into a shop and not have to sell, not be under pressure financially to have to make a sale. I think that's the best position that I can be in. And I think, and a lot of people in the industry would agree with me when I say you don't need to be in every shop. And sometimes when you walk away from a retailer, you're better served to focus on the people that are supporting you. Less is more a lot of times, and having one strong shop in an area as opposed to 3 within a 10-mile radius is sometimes a better fit. We want to do business with everybody, of course, but I think it's a lot of people agree. Go where you're supported. Go where you're welcome, and not every shop is going to be a fit for Epic or for Natsuko or for Fuente or what have you. So it's about learning and educating yourself and observing things when you walk into a retailer, looking at what's available and seeing what cigar in my portfolio might be a fit, or in our portfolio might be a fit. And I think if you can get one box on the shelf, it's successful. Or maybe it's just, as I said, not that may not be the right retailer for you. So, because the last thing you want is your product sitting and not moving and ending up on a sales shelf. So it's not trying to do too much, and really also respecting your retailers, making sure to make your appointments and catching them at a good time during the day when they're not tired, when they're more open to sitting and meeting with you, and maybe having a cigar, because that's I think anyone in the industry knows that when you can get in and sit with someone and enjoy a cigar, you've got a much greater chance to close the deal and to get some shelf space and start a partnership. And I think it's the skills of observation, obviously negotiation, and doing right by your retailers, treating them right, and obviously learning a little bit about their customer base. So it's multifaceted. You've got to observe a lot, listen, and listen more than you talk, and I think you'll have more success. And that was one of the biggest things I learned from my negotiation courses over the years. Just that, having that uncomfortable silence, but when you have a cigar in your hand, it's not as uncomfortable. So I don't mind sitting down in a shop for hours and smoking a cigar. I don't have to talk, and eventually it's going to buy something, right?
I couldn't agree more. Dean Parsons from Epic Cigars, thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you all for tuning in and listening to all the great legends of the industry that were tuning in tonight, all the other manufacturers, the Kleinlagel family. You guys are all doing a wonderful job. Thank you for tuning in. And Dean Parsons, nothing but the very best to you. All the success.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It means a lot.
Thank you so much for sharing your time.
Thanks, Reinhard.
We'll see you soon.
All the very best. Take care.
Cheers. Okay. Bye-bye.